Hello StarCraft fans, this is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. This is the game between Kuga and EverZtelecoM here on Dusk Towers. On the top side of Dusk Towers we have the blue Zerg player, it is EverZtelecoM. And in the bottom left of the map we have the red Terran player, representing nobody but the happy StarCraft's symbol, it is Kuga. Both players throwing out the good luck have funs right there. GL have fun for both of these guys. And a ZVT on Dusk Towers. So again, a pretty darn fun map for both of these races, I think. You have this nice safe position you can take as Terran. You can't really get to it as Zerg if this is walled off for a long time, unless you're doing drop lord tactics, which I haven't seen that often. And the Zerg, I was going to say, sometimes like to take the base down here, but instead it looks like the early hatch going to come down from EverZtelecoM here at the safe back location as well. Again, not necessarily as safe because you can't really wall off here as Zerg. Never ever really happens, and not a great idea to do so anyway. But regardless, looks like it's going to be a Reaper expand here from Kuga. Fairly standard stuff here in Legacy of the Void, as is this hatch first, and has been since the beginning of time for Zerg. Although I would say ZVT for a while there was Baneling busts, man. It was one base Baneling bust that Terrans had such a hard time stopping until they figured out exactly what to do to deal with it, and then it kind of, the Baneling bust from one base anyway, kind of fell by the wayside. So from that point on, it's pretty much hatch first. Zerg players learned to handle everything that Terran could throw at them in the early game, although proxy racks were still a problem, although not something you see that necessarily as much here in Legacy of the Void. So let's see what's going on in the production tab. Orbital command, and indeed a Reaper coming out for our friend Kuga, the red Terran player. Spawning pool just about to finish, as well as that second hatch, and an Overlord. Probably going to wait for the timing on that to see exactly where he wants to go next. He has just about enough gas to do metabolic boost, and yes, indeed, there's the metabolic boost coming on out. 2 queens in production. Should be enough to deal with this Reaper as soon as it shows up. The Reaper, however, is the Reaper Phil. He's going to try to get a full scout off on the Zerg base, as well as try to kill as many lings and possibly drones as he possibly can, as he humanly can, because he is a human inside a rocket suit. Popping on up, boop, using his rocket jump ability. The lings come from both sides, though. Try to get us around. Hard to get us around with 4 lings. I'm not actually sure if that's possible. I think he actually needs 6 to fully surround a Reaper, but you can probably tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about that one. Running around again, doesn't really want to go on the creep. KD charge being thrown down, not hitting much of anything at all. And again, Telecom defending this pretty darn well. I really haven't seen an angle for the Reaper to move on in there. He just kind of relegated himself, resigned himself to waiting for his friend. Pop, there it is. Reaper number 2 is on the way. There's Roach Warren in production for Telecom, but not quite there yet. And boop, knocking that queen back on in. The lings come from the right side and try to get some shots off, but don't want to lose too many of their numbers, so back on out into the creep. Metabolic boost just about to finish here. The Reaper's trying to kill this queen. Might be able to do it with some good management of that KD8 charge, but no, not able to do it. Unfortunately for Kuga, does manage to almost kill a ling, but no, doesn't. Do either of these guys have kills? Yes, 1 kill on each. Looks like they both got a Reaper kill there. Again, the scouting information hasn't been that great. I don't think they were able to see that Roach Warren. Definitely not. And now the speedlings are out, and there's nowhere to go. Gonna try to KD8 charge themselves out of this one, but Phil and his friend are going to eventually get cleaned up. Pretty good micro, but in the end, both completely gone. Meanwhile, back at home, hey, look at that, a factory with a reactor. Surprise! Surprise on that one. And indeed, what are we going to see? Hellions. The Hellion follow-up to the Reaper is pretty much a given. If you're a Zerg player and you see the Reaper pressure early on in the game, go ahead and assume that Hellions are coming on the way. So getting a Roach Warren is not a bad idea. You'll see these roaches didn't actually pop out in time to deal with the Reapers, but they'll be ready for any Reaper, or rather Hellion, harass that comes his way. Kuga getting more and more barracks here, getting add-ons for those barracks as well. And is that a Banshee? A Banshee follow-up. This is not as common to go Reaper, Hellion, Banshee, but it is something you need to worry about as well. So these roaches are actually being pretty aggressive. These are not base defense roaches, man. These are roaches out for the kill. They do really well against Hellions, not so well against Banshees, just because Banshees can shoot down and roaches can't shoot up. Cloak especially a problem for roaches, because they can't even see those things that are trying to kill them. Stim on the way as well for Kuga here, and Ravager. Ravager morphing in Indeed, there it is. Ravagers throwing down corrosive bile can actually break through this wall fairly easily, especially with their own DPS and some roach DPS being thrown in on top of it. The way is open, but a lot of Hellions blocking it at the same time. The Banshee probably is going to turn back home here as soon as she sees what's going on. Corrosive bile does take down the supply depot again with the help of the acid saliva from the roaches, trying to take down yet another one. And yes, the Banshee is forced to retreat home here. Corrosive bile almost taking down that reactor. It is burning. More corrosive bile forcing the Banshee back, but she can dodge those corrosive biles with pretty much no problems whatsoever. Taking out more and more add-ons here, almost killing two of them. SCV here to repair, but nope, not going to happen. SCV, unfortunately, completely dead. Lings on top of Hellions, and surprisingly doing fairly good about that. More and more corrosive biles being thrown into the air and tossed onto the ground there. The Banshee is doing what she can. She can only shoot so quickly, though. Already has 6 kills. More corrosive biles down on all of these workers. It is, oh my goodness, only down to 29 harvesters to 44 in favor of Telecom right on now. Corrosive bile thrown down, almost able to get these Banshees, not quite able to do it. And Double Banshee does clean up this attack for the time being, but guess what? There are Lings rolling on in here. Is there a repair on this barracks? There is not. No repair. Telecom being so aggressive here. So aggressive. Moving on in with his Lings. And desperately trying to wall off here his Kuga, because he knows it's not over yet. It is definitely not over yet. As a Terran player, even if you lose a lot of SCVs, you can still come back with the power of mules. With the recommand centers with mules, you can actually get your income level back up to where it needs to be fairly quickly. These Lings are making sure a third base doesn't come on down. The Overlord spread is looking pretty fantastic as well, and a pretty good spots to check for additional bases that might be taken by his Terran opponent. The Banshees are being distracted by these Lings. I think this is, and roaches. I think this is exactly what Telecom wants, is hopefully distract the Banshees, give him some time to get up some Queens, which he has, some Spore Crawlers, which he has, and a Spire, which he's working on to deal with the Banshees. I don't think there are any more Banshees in production, so I don't think the Spire is necessarily necessary at this point. Necessarily required, but here come the Banshees. They are cloaked. They are hunting. They want to kill themselves a Queen. Do they get the Queen? They do not get the Queen. Manages to escape to the safety of the Spore Crawler. However, a couple drones do end up falling here, trying to find a sweet spot in which to attack. This is every Zerg's worst nightmare, having cloaked Banshees inside your base, just killing stuff that's trying to rally. And again, you have to pretty much hover around the safety of Spore Crawlers if you want to survive. Another attack up the front base here with Banelings. What did I say about Baneling Bus? Killing an add-on, killing a barracks, which immediately does get replaced there. Not sure if that was the best use of gas at all, but again, it did keep Kuga on his toes. Is there enough to save this hatchery before it falls? No, the Banshees are doing their job far too well. There's the cancel. There's the death of the drone. And the Banshees, at this point, I think have paid for themselves. They have quite a few kills between them. 6 kills, 12 kills there. Have almost killed the Queen. This one should be dead. She was poking on out. Wow, she was feeling very brave. However, the Banshees were ready for her, and she dodged it regardless. Centrifugal hooks on the way for the Banelings. What is going on? These Overlords should have been pooping creep, but instead they will end up dead for no reason whatsoever. They will have served the swarm to the best of their abilities, but not much farther than that. Double expanding, though, is Telecom, and you know what? I have to agree with that feeling. As Zerg at this point, the 8-minute mark or so, if you're only on 3 bases, you're floating quite a bit of money, so might as well double expand to places that Terran's not necessarily going to check on. Widow Mine shot does kill a single Ling. The rest of the Lings get right on in, chased away by these Marines and these Marauders. +1/+1 on the Marines. The Lings themselves have +0/+0. No upgrades have been spent at all, I don't think, for Telecom. These guys are obviously +0/+0. And are the Roaches? Do the Roaches have anything yet? No. No upgrades at all. A completely upgradeless, aggressive style for Telecom, which I'm not sure is going to serve him very well in the late game here, because if these upgrades continue for the Terran player, and indeed it looks like they will be, concussive shells on the way. Vehicle weapons, level 1. A good Terran gets his upgrades, and that's exactly what Kuga is trying to do. The Mutas flying on in, trying to see if they can kill stuff. There's a single turret here. It should be enough to deter this number of the mutalisks, but we'll have to wait and see. At the very least, these Mutas need to keep the Terran inside their own base for just a few minutes here, and allow the Hydralisk den to pop, and maybe allow a Hive to come up for Telecom as well. Really wants to macro up past this point, because dealing with Terran at this point in the game is very, very difficult. Unless you go for pretty much a huge swath of Roaches and Ravagers, which is not what Telecom is doing here. Again, just flying around, killing add-ons. Boom! There goes a tech lab. And boom! Here goes another tech lab and a couple other swipes, and indeed it does end up falling. Barracks trying to recreate those tech labs, but they take a while. And that does actually slow down upgrades. So that's something you could do, Zerg players, with your mutas, is not necessarily going after workers, which could be good, especially when they're all stacked up like this. Kuga, move your workers out of there. You have way too many workers on this single patch. 14. Mining is one mineral field that is now expired. And Kuga does recognize it a little bit late, but you know what? Better late than never. Again, this is GM level. And so the players are not pros, but they're pretty darn good nonetheless. The mutas do not want to stand here. There are 2 turrets and Marines. Yeah, run! Run for your lives. More mutas survive that than I expected. Overlord ends up dying there as well. And pushing on out here is Kuga. That Overlord is whipping creep, doing a great job slowing down any attempted expansion. I'm not sure that Kuga was planning on expanding there, but hey, it slowed it down anyway. These bases have now popped. Infestation Pet, Lurker Den on the way. Telecom was able to tech up to where he needed to be. And Banelings with speed on creep are pretty darn fast. Oh, Banelings, why are you all by yourselves? Run, Banelings, run! Indeed, they do retreat back on home. A lot of Banelings here. +1/+1 on those Banelings. This is a pretty marine-heavy composition here. A couple good splashes could be enough to win this, honestly, for Telecom. So here come the Banelings rolling on in, crushing on in on top of all of these Marines. Wow, just absolutely going to town on these bio units, crushing everything that is here. Hydras and Roaches trying to kill whatever was left, and that's not a whole lot. Kuga's forced to retreat. The Marauders end up dead. The Marines that are trying to reinforce here should die as well, assuming Telecom's paying attention, but no, loses those mutas for no reason whatsoever. Now on the aggressive path here is Telecom with +1 armor on his everything on the ground, because they do share upgrades. +3 attack on the way for Kuga for his Marines and Marauders, as well as Reapers, although we don't really see those in the mid to late game, do we? No, we do not. Ding ding, there's the scan. Ooh, I was gonna say, Widow Mines get cleaned up by Banelings, which not necessarily a good use of your abilities, but if you can't see them, I guess that will work out. Here comes a very, very eclectic group here. Not Marines, Hydras, Roaches, Lings. I was going to say Banelings are in here, but no, there are not. And there come the Ravager, adding yet another unit to this mix. Pushing on in are the Roaches and the Hydras, not even waiting for the Ravagers to show up here. Good concave by Telecom, but not quite good enough here for this +2/+2 army. Again, with Stim, with Medivacs overhead. The Ravagers need to pop to make this work. And there they go. The Ravagers show right on up here. Oh, Lurkers are morphing in, rather. Why didn't he wait for the Lurkers? Lurkers are sieging forward now. Gonna burrow right on in. Do not walk here, Bio. It is a bad, bad time. He thought about it. Moving up again. Widow Mine shot does get up here and damage a Lurker, but not kill it straight up. Yeah, no. You really don't want to challenge this with Bio. Corrosive Bile is being thrown down, trying to take out Widow Mines. Did get one of them there. This Widow Mine here is ready to go, and I think if there's a push here from Telecom, he might make this work. More Lings are rolling on in just for that extra DPS. +1 missile attack, +2 Carapace is on the way for Telecom. And Planetary Fortress, more Marines, more Marauders, that +3 infantry, about 60% complete here for Kuga. Army size 70 to 113 in favor of Telecom. Yahoo kaboo. There is a Hydra here, a couple of them. Actually, should be able to kill his Medivacs. Widow Mine shots do kill a Ravager. Ravagers on their own out here. No. Be very, very careful. Ravagers, don't be doing that. If you're laying siege to something, let's do this thing. This is almost going to be a Planetary Fortress. Once that happens, it's going to be a bit of a problem. Throwing down Corrosive Bile on the PF. I think that's what that was. From Telecom, a Spire, another Spire on the way. Is Telecom planning on going for air after this? Did he lose a Spire? Was there a drop that I missed? No, there are definitely 2 Spires. Alright, I don't know what's going on. More Corrosive Bile being thrown down on this PF, but the repair can repair through that, no problem whatsoever. The Lurker has a range of 9. Planetary Fortress, a range of 6. So the Lurkers can actually outrange this, running on into those Lurker spines. So many of these bio units are just getting absolutely melted right here. But again, wasting Corrosive Bile on this PF, not a great idea. Perhaps spreading them around. this planetary fortress and killing the SCVs that are trying to repair it would be a better idea. Another expansion coming up for Telecom. Lurkers just out of the range of this planetary fortress. Trying to get that Widow Mine before it burrows. No! 2 hit points left on the Widow Mine. We have pathogen glands on the way for the Zerg player. It increases the starting energy of infestors, and the timing looks like it is not going to work out here. These infestors will pop before pathogen glands is finished. And so these infestors will not benefit from the extra starting energy, which is kind of a problem. But here we go. +1 Carapace, +1 flyer attack there. As the Widow Mine does kill a Ravager, but the medevac itself also ends up dying. Man. I mean, I know you feel good about this, but wow. And the Marines and the Marauders do tear through all those Lurkers fairly well. Again, losing a lot of their number, injuring a lot of them as well. Remember, it is splash damage from those spines. So it can be a problem. Banelings morphing on in. They're going to have, what is this, +2, +1 now? Yep, so they're going to be hard to kill and hit a little bit harder. Single medevac full of Marines heading on out, trying to find a base they can destroy. There are Queens and a Queen there, so not really much to defend here, which is why I like to throw up a couple Spine Crawlers at least to slow down any kind of a drop that could be causing you trouble here. Here come the Marines dropping right on in. They're trying to kill what they can, but the Queens end up falling, and indeed they do. This base is completely under fire. The attack is going to be defended by Zerglings that run in all the way from across the other side of the thing here and picks up, runs on out with a medevac, going to find another place to harass here. Can he get it? Kuga's going to try to make it happen. Queen trying to spike down to that medevac. That is pretty much the salvation, but no, she ends up dead as well. Banelings and Lings roll in once again, but nothing much can shoot up. So hey, why not? Why not use this medevac to do everything you need it to do? In the meantime, perhaps saturating this base would be a good job from Telecom. A lot of Marines, a lot of Marauders, a lot of medevacs here at the same time. And I was going to say Corruptors. Corruptors on the way for Telecom. I'm not sure if that's for Caustic Spray or maybe to take out those medevacs. It can be a good job taking out those medevacs, but can be a little bit difficult as well. Marines, Marauders with that stim with the +3 attack here, +2 armor, +3 armor is being researched. This drop here once again trying to kill everything that it can. There is a couple Banelings rolling on in. There's a Spine Crawler morphing on in, and here comes Kuga going for the throat, pushing right onto this creep. He probably needs to scan and kill as many creep terminals as he can, but coming from the backside and the front side here, Banelings just crushing everything. Corruptors destroying medevacs out of the sky. Ravagers and Roaches cleaning up whatever remains, and once again the Telecom just handily deals with that engagement with a good group, a good mix of units here. Another Marauder ends up falling, and that Ravager has 3 kills. It is a Predator, so a Greater Spire is on the way. I was going to say, upgrades are nice, but EverZ, if there's 2 Spires, you're probably going to go for Broodlords, but yes, that appears to be exactly what is going on here. Long distance mining is Kuga. This planetary fortress has not really been harassed, or I guess to the point where you're worried about it. +2 Carapace just about to finish for the flying units, as well as +3 Carapace for those ground units. Lings, Banelings, Ravagers, Roaches, Corruptors flying around, patrolling back and forth. This creep spread looking pretty darn good. Widow Mine does have 5 kills. How on earth do you have 5 kills, Widow Mine? I guess because nobody knows that you're there, and that's kind of the power. Drop up here, though, does discover the secret hidden base. The Marines with +3, just about +3, now +3. Going to try to burn down this hatchery. Are there enough of them to make it happen? Another Marine shows up to join the party, and you know what? Gonna lose the hatch. I mean, these Marines, the DPS is just way too high. The pickup and the boost out, Kuga knows what he's doing. The Corruptor is going to try to chase this sucker down. A little bit too slow when they're boosted, but when the boost is over, indeed, I think Corruptors can chase them down, even if they're running directly away. Here come the Broodlords, ready to go with +1 attack on their Broodling Strike, +2 Flyer Carapace, giving them an armor number of 3. Another drop up here, though, for Kuga. Going to try to take down this Greater Spire. Changes his mind. Nope. Going to go after the Greater Spire. Here comes some Lings trying to save it, but no! The Greater Spire is going to fall. Transfuse tries to save it, but not going to happen. This entire drop does get cleaned up thanks to the help from the Corruptors, but it's not enough. Losing the Greater Spire, losing that upgrade. No more Broodlords for a while here for Telecom. Telecom is upset. He says, alright, that's it. These drops have been bothering me. Another drop here, though, from Kuga. And once again, nothing to defend it. A good reaction time there from Telecom, boosting his units away to the safety, relative safety of this base. Again, there are a couple spines positioning maybe not that great from attack from the south base, from the south, but here we go. Broodlings are raining down upon this army, and there are no Vikings to be seen. Oh no, he saw the Greater Spire. Why didn't you start making Vikings immediately? I do not know, but either way, these ground units, not the greatest choice in the world. Planetary Fortress trying to save what it can. Standing and fighting here is Kuga, the +3/+3. Banelings rolling in. Fungals on top of everything as well. The Ravagers absolutely getting melted. Corrosive Bile landing and destroying a couple units there, but once again, this attack is staying just outside of the range of the Spine Crawlers. Well, most of them are. Anyway, the Broodlords throwing down Broodlings, locking everybody down here. The Marauders are left, but they cannot shoot up. Corrosive Bile being thrown down on top of this entire army, taking out Marauders as well. This base is in perpetual repairing here. Can the Broodlords stay alive? It looks like they can. The remaining number of Marines that are left are trying to kill these Broodlords, but there's just not enough, and that's a GG from Kuga. Kuga is defeated. Telecom is victorious, and Kuga has left the game. Woohoo! So really fun ZVT there. Always fun to see the Broodlords. The dropping ability was great by Kuga. Killed that base, killed this base, killed this base, killed the Greater Spire as well. So pretty good multitasking there. Able to macro up, able to get his own bases up and running. But I think the fatal flaw honestly was he saw the Greater Spire and he didn't immediately switch into double pumping out Vikings. There it is. There's one. But that was the first one he made the entire game. So I hope Kuga learned a lesson here. It's a lesson that most of us learned back in Wings of Liberty. But if you see Broodlords out on the field or a Greater Spire, go ahead and get those Vikings. They will save your life because they would have done a great job. There were not that many Corruptors here supporting. The Broodlords were kind of sitting ducks for the most part. The Vikings just come on in, clear those out, and then Kuga lives to fight another day. But this game went to Telecom. Well played indeed by our Zerg player. And that's it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter and Facebook, both at /FalconPaladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.